welcome to my podcast, Spiritual Quest, with me, your host, Vibeke Garnos, always guided by Spirit. I am very excited to share my gift with you and empower you to embrace your gift. So if you define yourself as a spiritual human being, then you've come to the right place. So prepare yourself now for an amazing journey where your soul will lead the way. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Spiritual Quest podcast. Today, we're doing something different. We're expanding. I actually have two incredible guests on today's podcast. Two beautiful women who call themselves Spirit Mamas. I just love that. Tiffany Wilkes and Victoria Nielsen, known as the Spirit Mamas, are cultivating a community of loving, beautiful, energetic beings who show up to life perfectly imperfect. Their mission is to uplift spiritually conscious mamas, helping them trust their intuition and power with the help of ceremonial circles, energy works, rituals, and magic, so they can bloom into the next version of themselves, fuller, brighter, and better than they ever thought possible. And as a mother myself, that really warms my heart. Tiffany, she's a certified Reiki energy healer, sound practitioner, and spiritual coach. And as a wife and mother of two sons, she's standing in her power and showing them how to live their true life's purpose. Victoria is an Akashic Records reader, breathwork facilitator, intuitive energy healer, and of course, mama. Her personal mission is to help new and old mamas everywhere find the love in their hearts for themselves that they have for their babies. Wow, I can already feel that this conversation will be filled with so much love, passion, and joy. And I'm excited to learn more about how you can activate your mama intuition. It's with great joy that I welcome Tiffany and Victoria, the Spirit Mamas, to the Spiritual Quest podcast. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, thanks so much for having us.
Hello. I'm working something out of my throat chakra right now, so this will be an interesting conversation, but we're so grateful to be here.
Wonderful. It's great to see you both. So let's get started. Let me start with you, Tiffany. Would you just share a little bit about your background and how you came to be one of the Spirit Mamas?
Yes, hi everyone. So I'm Tiffany, one half of Spirit Mamas. I am a Reiki master. I am a sound practitioner, as you mentioned, an intuitive. And to be honest, I've been connected to the spiritual realm since I was a child. So always had dreams that came to reality. I would see numbers, but didn't realize what they were. My grandmother would read my palm. I didn't know what she was doing. She would do Reiki on me. I didn't know what that was. And then as an adult, especially after I had my first son, Logan. So I have two sons, Logan, who's 12, Lennox, who's 3. And after I had Logan, I really wanted to step into my power that I kind of been shying away from and show him the power that we hold as these spiritual beings. And so he really helped me go through my first spiritual awakening. And then I will say, with that is where I kind of leaned into Reiki, became a Reiki healer. I think I was only at level 2 at that time. And then right before I had Lennox, 9 years later, I was really, really embracing the fact that, I'm now this Reiki healer. I am really tapping into my spiritual intuition, and then went through another spiritual awakening with him where I really wanted to lean into my purpose to be a healer. And how did I do that? And so me and Victoria, we've been friends now for several years. We worked in corporate America together before I had Lennox and before she had her first son, Sebastian. And we were having a conversation one day, like, how do we raise these beautiful boys to really remember who they are, not forget who they are as a spiritual being? And then how do we help moms remember who they are so that they can raise these beautiful spirits? And so that's just kind of like the high level story in a nutshell. It's funny. Once Victoria kind of gives her side, I think it'll all kind of come together as one. But yeah, just on this journey to really empower women, moms, and our children.
Wow, what an incredible story. That short, that you told so short, but still, I can actually feel the power in what you were um, um, telling. Uh, you see, I'm connecting a little bit with your story. So I'm thinking and I'm going into what you're telling or your story, and I'm thinking, when was my, because as I maybe got you correct, I don't know, please tell me if I'm out of balance. Um, is it your sons that actually help you to discover or reconnect maybe with your true self?
I think so for me, definitely.
Because I can recognize that with my daughter as well. So there's kind of something when we get these souls into our lives again, and then there's something happening within our core beings, just acknowledging um, the connection, I guess. So I'm really excited to hear from you, Victoria, how you come in. Please share your story.
Yes, so my sons definitely have activated my spiritual awakening. I had a miscarriage in 2018 that really set me off on this path. So, if you had met me even 5 years ago, the fact that Tiffany and I worked together in the spiritual space, you would have laughed at me and been like, no, there's no way. Because I was in the spiritual closet. I very much was not connected to my soul in any way. I was really avoiding it, honestly. And the miscarriage cracked me open in a way that made me surrender to the universe and say, okay, it's time you take the wheel. I don't know where to turn from here. And then when I got pregnant with my son Sebastian and had him, that portal of birth just completely rebirthed me in a whole new way. And thankfully, I had Tiffany to lean on, but we wanted to create this community that we both didn't have as we were remembering and as we were reawakening this part of ourselves. And now that I'm postpartum again, 3 months with my second son, I'm seeing it's a whole nother rebirth. It's a whole nother awakening. It's a whole nother side of myself that I had never experienced. And for those that don't know what the Akashic records are, they're really just an energetic frequency that anyone can tap into at any point in time. And finding them unlocked within me this deep remembrance, this deep vibration of knowing that I was a spiritual being having a human experience
Mm.
and that I came here to learn and grow and evolve, and that all of the beings that Tiffany and I are attracting through this work, we are just mirrors and reflections for exactly what you're going through. So I love that you connected with our story and Tiffany's story, because I think that's really what it is, right? Is to know that you're not alone and that you're walking a path that's similar, that, we each have our own unique journey and our own unique experiences, but there's these little threads, right? And these little common things that help us know that, okay, there's something going on here.
Mm. Oh, I love that. So that's how you guys come together, like the spiritual part. You assisted each other. I just want to make sure that I get your story right. And so coming together, my experience is that when you unite with other people, that experience just expands, right? Just like I said, we're expanding
Yes.
today. I have two guests. And the power that you guys bring into this space, we have this energy space right now. And I just feel the love you bring for your community or everything that you're telling. I think it's really resonating. I don't know if it's, maybe you can help me with this. I don't know if that's my mama intuition, but it's, I feel such a strong connection to women who either, not really have to be mothers biologically, but wants to be mothers and mother others in one way or the other, that there's something magical within that. So, how did Spirit Mamas come about? What's the birthing of Spirit Mamas?
You want to go, Victoria?
I can. It's such a beautiful experience to think about because, like Tiffany said, we were just kind of having a conversation. We used to work in corporate marketing together, and I was really in the throes of postpartum and was like, wow, if I'm feeling like this, there's so many women out there that must feel like this. And so I think I was breastfeeding my son, and Tiffany was like, why don't we share our spiritual gifts with the world? And it started with us both just individually saying, okay, I'll share Reiki, I'll share the Akashic Records. And as we birthed Spirit Mamas and started holding full moon circles and sacred ceremony, we realized that was the magic. That's the secret sauce, that when women come together to heal, to evolve, to expand, we are so powerful. And there is just something about that makes the earth happy, makes our ancestors happy, and allows us to really heal and transform at a rapid pace. So much faster doing it together because, again, it kind of ignites that spark within you, within her, within me, within each of us, that we remember this work. We remember each other from past lives and know that we're here to do and be so much more than just a mom or a woman or a caretaker or any of those labels that society puts on us. We're here to shine at our highest potential, being radiant beings. One of my mentors the other day said, she's a radiant being of light, remembering that she's a radiant being of light. And that really resonated. I was like, damn, that is what we're doing on this planet, isn't it?
Yes.
Tiff, what's your version? I always love hearing the way you tell it.
So I think you have it right on, Victoria. I think so where we were in this space together of going through this postpartum, I was going through it for the second time. And for me, it was really about like I had this 9-year-old who I was seeing kind of go through life and like he's so magical, but then he was hitting that wall of like, okay, my friends are doing this and you know, questioning himself. And we do these affirmations every morning, or at least we used to. And so for me, it was like, okay, not only let me step into my power, I've done a really good job of Logan kind of seeing me step into my spiritual self, but how can I continue to grow him at going into these little teenage years or pre-teenage years at the time, but at the same time, how do I like manage this huge age gap that I was dealing with, right? And so it was almost like I was in these two phases at once, and I still am, which is crazy as a mom. But you know what's coming through for me, and I just got this download. I think for so long as women, we were in our divine masculine, right? Because the world set us up to be that, like taking care of home, being, working moms and women. And even if you aren't a mom, we're as women, we're always birthing something. And I think now we're coming into this phase of the divine feminine and learning how to truly balance that. And then I think in a few years, we'll find a balance where we're coming into this space of divine masculine, divine feminine, the yin and the yang, and like bringing it all together. And so that I just got that download when you said, Victoria, when you talked about like, women and just the power that we hold together. I think it's us like really stepping back into that feminine and then learning how to balance the two. I just got that download. I don't know, this is crazy, but
Wow. I love that. I love that so much. I mean, I must admit, when you were talking, Victoria, I also felt very emotional. I don't know if you could see it, but I felt really, really the joy and love of a mother. And I think, and as you said, you're coming together and you're bringing these women together to just be, to allow them to be themselves and to love who they are. I could really sense that purity of that message that you are bringing. So, as spirit mamas, I'm thinking, how do you go about reaching these women? How do they find you?
it's really been this organic, it's been so natural. Like the women that we've been able to connect with have come out of the woodworks. Like a lot of times we'll ask, like, how did you find us? And it's just so divine. And I think it's just beautiful how they find us, we find them, they hold space for us, we hold space for them. And it is just this community that we've built. We have like a monthly membership where we chat with these women daily. We hold full moon circles and energy healing circles once a month for these beautiful women. We give each other advice when we need it. We send each other love, and we really are building that community as these women go through their spiritual awakening, which I know I didn't have when I was going through mine, 12 years ago. So I think it's just the beauty of just everything has happened very naturally. It's nothing that I feel like, of course, as business people, you do little things, but to be honest, like when I look at our community, it's been a natural thing that the universe has really just kind of laid in our lap. and allowed us
Mm.
to curate.
Oh, yeah. I definitely I agree with you. I mean, that's how I get my podcast guests. I mean, I just follow the guidance of spirit, and I was so grateful that I reached out to you guys. I mean, there is something about the power of being authentic and truthful about who we are and joining and just supporting each other. And I think if we not only thinking about it from a business side, because I wasn't doing that, but when I think about it from a business side, that's what really is the power within, the relationship of doing business. Because I think if we go in and we look at the wonderful work that you're doing, which is really resonating with me. I mean, like I said, I'm a mother and I'm a woman, and I've struggled with my femininity. I've been so masculine in everything I've done. And then to be able to come in and join and do this and to connect with people like you, that's really powerful. And so I have another question, because you keep mentioning these ceremonies or rituals that you do with these women. I'm so curious. Can you share what those are?
Absolutely. So I love that we kind of started at the height of COVID. So everything we do is virtual. We do have in person retreats here in the US, and we're hoping to expand internationally next year. But the beauty of being able to connect in Zoom is that we can have sacred ceremony together. And we have women join us from all over the world. We've had women from Sweden and New Zealand and, Europe. And really we come together to use our spiritual tools like meditation, like dance, like the intention setting space of just using your throat chakra and using your frequency and vibration to speak into existence what you want to occur. And I think Tiffany and I just intuitively follow what spirit is guiding us to do in these ceremonies. We had one last night where we had a rough outline, but we just shared from our hearts about this divine feminine space, about healing the mother wound is something we're really passionate about. And every woman has a mother wound, whether or not she realizes it. And it's about those feminine dynamics, that sacred relationship. And so when we come together, I could be guiding a breath work, or Tiffany could be using her sound bowls, or we could be journaling together. It doesn't have to be, anything crazy. Some of the simplest rituals, when you do them together in an intentional space with other women, it is so powerful. And I think the other thing we want to share with women is we're not the gurus, right? We're here to hold the space for you, but you're the expert on what's right for you. And that's really about following your intuition and following those little nudges, because that's how we've grown the business, is to follow those little intuitive nudges to say, hey, reach out to this podcast. Hey, hold this circle. Hey, reach out to this woman. And it has done us so beautifully to do that, and women should do that more and more. But we're never here to say, oh, you have to follow this exact path or do this exact thing. No, that's the exact opposite. Right? We're here to say, this is what's worked for us. If it's worked for you and it resonates with you, awesome. If it doesn't, that's fine. Leave it here, in this sacred space. So the ceremonies, there's never two that are alike, because they're really guided by spirit and guided by what comes through. We also always pull oracle cards. We just created a beautiful oracle card deck. But that's one of the easiest ways to begin to connect to your intuition as a woman if you feel like you don't know where to start, because the cards can really give you just a little bit of guidance to latch onto. And then before you know it, you're like, oh, that resonates, or oh, that makes sense, or oh, I'm following the breadcrumbs. Because spirit, I don't know about for you, speaks really subtly sometimes.
Oh,
And we want it to be this like flashing neon light, but like it's never like that.
you're right. And I'm so glad that you're teaching these methods, because that's one of the first things I gave my daughter. She was only like 1.5, or she just started to speak, and she was lying in bed next to me. And I remember her saying, "Mommy, mommy, why is it yellow around you?" And I went, "Okay, here we go." She just got what I experienced as a child, right? And so that whole week, she would just go, "Oh, Daddy, you're blue and orange and purple." And she would tell everyone, the guys at the store, the ladies at the salon. She would just point and just say, "Oh, you're beautiful. You're purple." It was just such an amazing thing. And I
I
thought,
love
okay, so
that.
how can she's so small, and how can I kind of get into into her space and kind of teach her to, find the grounding and everything, because there was a lot of things going on. I mean, she had ghosts in her room. There was a lot of things that was, keeping her awake at night. And so the first thing I did was I found this card set for children, um, for I think it was angel card set. It was just small angel cards that I could have her pick, and I could read what was on there, and we just talked about what that meant for her when she was a little bit older than 1.5 then, but still, it was such a beautiful way of connecting and keeping it her, or reminding her of her power, and that she should trust that. So I don't know, how do you do this with your family or your boys? How do you keep this going?
So, your daughter reminds me of me, and it sounds like your story is the same. Like very early on, I was seeing spirits in my room and hearing voices and all that amazing stuff. Um, so for me, it's funny, like when I look at my kids, like I would know first I notice their dreams and I'm like, okay, he's definitely having a premonition or he's traveled tonight and he's doing work in a different realm and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, I started with like affirmations because I love manifesting. So for my kids, like I had them stand in the mirror and they would do these affirmations, but then they also would watch me like pull my cards or meditate. And then we meditate together. I also just have conversations with them about, so I grew up as a Christian. And so when Logan was really little, we would go to church every day. And then it just didn't fit right in my spirit because I just knew it was so much more. So I sit down with the kids and I talk about all the different children of God, right? Like, and I talk about how they also are connected to source. They are source. Like you have that power. So for me, it's really about the communication and then also allowing them to see me in my practice, allowing them to see me meditate, allowing them to see me do breath work, allowing them to see me do Reiki on others or go get up. Like my oldest son, he goes and gets Reiki done by, someone other than me sometimes so he can have that counseling. But it's really exposing them to the spiritual realm that a lot of people kind of shy away from.
Wow. Can you see my heart jumping? I'm sitting here going, yes, yes, yes. I just love this conversation because I believe that our conscious children, oh, maybe I should ask you, Victoria, uh, because looking at all the children coming to Earth in this period, they're very awakened already. They're high vibrational. And so for us who's already here, we've had a work to do, and we're still working on the ascension process, many of us, and we're getting there. But many times these children are wiser, have more insight than we do. So how can we as parents, if we don't understand this, how can we meet our children? Can you give us some tips on how we can guide our children?
Absolutely. I think it's just listening, right? Because as Tiffany said, if your child is coming to you with dreams or sharing colors or experiences, it's really easy to say, oh, that's just your imagination, or oh, that's not real, or oh, that's not true. And then you shut down that intuitive side of them. I didn't have someone to explain to me growing up that the night terrors I was having was me traveling to other realms. And so I shut off my intuition. I shut off that part of myself because I was scared. I went to bed every night saying, I don't want any dreams. I don't want any dreams. I don't want any dreams. And spirit said, okay, fine. And shut it off. And now I have very vivid dreams again because I've opened myself up to that. So I think it's like Tiffany said, talking to our kids, but believing them
Mm.
if they say that they're experiencing something. Or my son the other night told me there was a face on the floor. And I said, okay, is it a good face or is it a bad face? And he said, it's fine. And I just said, okay, if it's not, you can come tell mommy, and just that's what it was. And my second son that just came earthside, I mean, Tiffany used to do Reiki on me when I was pregnant, and he would tell her, like, no, you need to move me this way or cut that cord because mommy and I already went through that. I don't want to do that again. And so I'm really interested to see when he begins to talk. I think he's going to be my more in tune child because I can already tell he'll zone out in the crib and just stare up. And I know that he's communicating with his angels, with his guides. And my mom has said it too when she's come to visit. She tells them to go away to leave him alone so he can sleep. Um, and, so not that Sebastian's not connected, but I think those conversations are going to come more with Rocky. And so I just think as a parent, you got to hold space for it. That's all you're doing as a conscious parent, right? Is holding space for your kids' big emotions and for their feelings and what they're going through. And so just don't minimize it if they come to you and say these things. And I think, as Tiffany shared, being an example, it's a lot easier, of course, to meditate on your own without the kids in the way, but doing it where they can see you allows them to ask questions and be curious and want to learn more. And Sebastian, now when I say, like, I'm going to go do yoga, he says, can I come with you? Or we save to the house together and he says, no more bad vibes, like walking around the house. And to me, that's just the best. Tiff, you have to share the story of Logan in the crystal shop.
Yeah, so I have a friend who owns a crystal shop in Chicago, Illinois. And I was visiting family, and so we go in. It's me, my cousin, and her little boy, and then Logan, my little boy. And so we go in. I'm shopping for crystals. The kids disappear in the back. I have no idea what they're doing. And so Logan, okay, Logan, Luke, Lennox, all these L names. So Luke, my little cousin, runs up and he's like, "Mommy, mommy, Logan was just opening my third eye." And so immediately I'm like, what are you doing back there? But I was like, I had this like joy, and I like looked at Logan. He was like, I didn't do anything wrong, did I? And I'm like, no, like that's amazing that you are back. He's like, yeah, I was just doing Reiki. So it's just funny because he sees me do it, and he's like, let me open your third eye. Like he's in this space. They're back there doing Reiki on each other and stuff. And it just made me like really proud because you don't at home, he talks about what I do, but to know that out in public, he also does really made me really proud and happy. And it was kind of like, okay, Tiff, you're doing the job that you were put here for. So yeah, that's that funny story.
Wow, that's amazing. And again, makes me think of my own daughter. We've had some similar experiences, and I've always had them with me. I meditate in the house or on the couch, or I always tell them I'm going out in my, I call it my cave where I'm right now because I have all my crystals and my crystal cave. And here's where I do my channeling sessions as well. And I've always had a spirit guide with me since the beginning. The first recollection of him was actually in my mother's womb. And I didn't know this before. I was certified as a life between lives hypnotherapist by the Michael Newton Institute. That's back in 2012. And I was during my experience with the trance. So I wasn't the facilitator, I was the one going under. And I met my spirit guide in my mother's womb. And that's how I remembered that, oh, I've seen you. And then all my memories just come flashing back. And so after that experience, I always used to call him as a child Archangel Gabriel, because that was the archangel. I was also grown up as a Christian. And so that spirit was kind of the energy of what I would look at as Gabriel. And when I come back home and I'm telling my daughter this, and it'd been a couple of years, she suddenly screams. She goes, "Mommy, mommy, I'm playing with Zarya's." And I go, "What?" And she said, come look." And I came up, and there was all these orbs flying around in the room. And she said, "Oh, I get them to sit on my hands, and it tinkles." She really like, look at this, look at this. And I was so grateful. And I was like, thank you, thank you. I know I'm not alone as a mother, because growing up, I kind of felt kind of out of my place because, yes, I had a mother who really did all her best for allowing me to be who I am. She never told me not to say anything or whatever. And she did bring me to a healer once. But my father was completely opposite. He was a businessman. Here it's all the facts that is, what's drive us, and you have to work hard and all that. So I kind of early on figured out that, okay, if I'm to be accepted by my father and accepted by my friends, I think I need to change the way I look at life. Because it was, I just felt so alone suddenly because there wasn't any information. So now having my daughter, and also in that experience coming home, and I met her when I was up in spirit world, and I was connecting with my soulmate. And the guy who was facilitating, he asked me, why is she in your life? And she said, or the spirit of her said, well, I'm here to teach her about unconditional love. And let me tell you, when I told my husband this, and he was like, "Ugh, yeah, right, this is weird stuff," right? So I told him in the car on the way back from the airport, and we were sitting on the couch, and she was sitting next to me. We were watching Dancing with the Stars, and I held her in my arms, and I go, "You're my little angel." And she looked me dead in the eye, and she goes, "Mommy, I'm here to teach you about unconditional love." I'll tell you, my husband almost fell off the couch. I was like, what? Is this really happening? So I ran to the computer, and that's when Michael Newton was still with us in this realm. So I sent him an email. I just had to tell him that story because I think that's such an amazing thing to have recognition from your children, that they recognize you, they recognize the connection, they recognize the soul or why you're there. So at least it's easier for me as a mother to kind of be there for her and hold her space, even though she rejects me now. So I understand why she's 15 and why she's now teaching me about unconditional love. I just had to share that with you guys because I really, really just enjoy what you guys do. I mean, wow.
I love this.
Do you have any more
I love
stories
it.
that
And
you would like to share?
well, I was going to say Archangel Gabriel was with me the entire pregnancy, and Rocky's middle name is Gabriel because of that. So I think that's so interesting that that's who was watching over you. And sometimes I say it's interesting. Like, depending on the energy, sometimes I feel he's masculine, and sometimes I feel like he's feminine. But either way, he's such a beautiful, like, protective energy. And that's such a cool story. I feel like spirit does that for the non-believers sometimes, right? Like, that was more for your husband to be able to believe than anything else. Tiffany, you've had crazy stuff happen. I feel like
Yeah,
mine is just kind of like in the realm of normal.
yeah. I mean, I was told that Logan, my oldest, had never been here before. He's actually an angel here to kind of somewhat teach me about unconditional love, and he's talked to me like at 2 years old. He was explaining to me how the universe is made and how angels sit outside of the realm of earth and kind of look down. And so I'm like sitting there like, okay, I believe it. But then I see this graphic like a day later of an angel sitting outside of the universe looking down into the planets. And I was like, okay, confirmation. I mean, I've had all types of crazy things happen. It's funny because Lennox, my youngest, has definitely been here as a soul before. Um, and pretty recent, I believe, my grandmother, who passed away probably about a year and a half before he entered this realm, is with him all the time. I mean, he talks to her. It's as if a lot of times me and my oldest son, we're like, was she alive when he was born? Because I mean, he'll go and find like a piece of jewelry and be like, Gigi told me to give you this, and he'll just start laughing, or like, and so it's one of those things where we're like, and I think that's more for my mom. Like, for some reason, I feel like Lennox is here to kind of help my mom on her journey because she was so close with my grandmother. But Logan definitely, like, even how he looks at the world, I definitely believe this is like, I don't know if he'll come back as a soul. Like, I think he's here to really help me so that I don't have to come back as many times. I think I only have maybe 2 lifetimes left, but it's some interesting stuff that happens that really will blow your mind away if you aren't on board with some of this stuff. It's been a few times where I'm like, God, if I'm not crazy, show me this. And he'll show me. He's like, okay, yeah, you aren't crazy. Like, this is happening.
I love that.
Well, and I think too, like, it's so interesting that people, as there's, awakening, a lot of those signs and symptoms can feel like you're going crazy. And it's not, it's just your body acclimating, it's you ascending, it's new information that you're now open to in a way that you weren't before. And I also think it's important to share with people that the way that your intuition speaks to you is so different than someone else. So,
Oh,
as
thank
I
you
said,
for
I
saying that.
shunned my gifts growing up, but also my mother is a very visual person. She sees the ghosts that walk around the house. I never did. So I thought, oh, that means I'm not intuitive. That means I don't have that gift. No, everyone has that gift. You just have to learn how it speaks to you. And I've learned that mine is more of a knowing. I just know things and share information. And I don't know where it comes from. I don't know how I know it, but I know it's true because I feel a resonance in my body that it's the truth. And ever since having Rocky, it's interesting. I feel like my auditory senses have heightened in a way that they weren't before. And so it's like a muscle. You can learn to use the different senses and flex them and get greater strength if they're not something that you're strong with. But you always have a spirit team. Your intuition is always talking to you. Like, it's just whether or not you choose to open up and believe it. And I truly believe if you think it's so and so communicating with you from the other realm, that's who it is. Who's to tell you it's not? You know, I think a lot of people can say, oh, that's just my head, or it's all in my head, or it's in your head. It's not going to sound like someone different. It might, but in my experience, it doesn't. It's my own voice. But I know that it's my great grandmother coming through, or oh, it's my grandfather coming through, or whatever, the being may be.
So, do you have any techniques or rituals for staying true to yourself, like to stand in your power, that helps you to be aligned and to be open?
Absolutely. I love inner voice work. So the easiest thing anyone can do is just close your eyes, inhale through the nose, and slowly exhale out the mouth. And continue to go through this multiple times. And as your body begins to soften, just take your awareness to wherever you felt your intuition previously. So in your heart space or in your belly. And you can ask yourself any question from this place and just wait until you have fully exhaled for the answer to arise within you. Because when we're holding the breath, we're holding on to the mind. And it's only when we fully release that we're able to be in that in between space that is your truth, that is your power coming to the forefront.
I just love it you do that. I could sit and listen to you all day. Just do that.
Even
I
with
mean,
this
yeah, but
terrible
it really
voice.
is. But the thing is, I think it's the energy work that the breath brings. To me, it's actually bringing the spirit or the soul, strengthening that power within, just to center yourself and to be in tune with what's going on inside you. So yeah, I resonate that way. I use breath work all the time, but it's nice to try different ways of doing it. And I think that's why I wanted to do the spiritual quest podcast as well, because the perspectives we have and coming together and sharing, it brings this community of a spiritual journey into a much greater, how would you say that in English, scale, or you reach more people, and we figure out that all is one. It's just the way we interpret things or how we look at things, and just to be open to new perspectives in life. And I think that as long as you know who you are and that you resonate with what is being brought forward, that you're true to listening to, like you said, following your intuition, following your guidance. Just don't do it because the mind tells you that that will be great for me, but just do that exercise and just listen and tune in. I think we could shift the world with just that. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, for me, it's reminding people to be in that present moment, which is the breath, right? Like taking that breath, and because if you take the breath and listen to the breath and listen to that rhythm and feel that energy, you are reminded that you are connected to source, that you are source. And so when you are in that present state, nothing else matters, and you realize just how connected you are to everything. And I do this thing where if I feel myself getting like anxious, or I feel that those butterflies in my stomach, I'll take my breath and bring myself back to that moment. And recently what I've been doing, I used to do this as a kid, but I would have these moments where I would like look at my hand and just kind of, and you can do it, you can, but like realizing that you are the spirit and that you have a body. Like this is just the body that you're in. And it's so amazing. And taking a look at the tree and realizing like you're having this experience where you can like feel the breeze and just feeling that connection to everything. But I think the breath gets you there, kind of taking a look at your body from an outer perspective and then feeling the connection to everything else. And I find that I can manifest really quickly in that space, that I come up with amazing ideas in that space because you have to release the mind. The mind and the ego gets in our way.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is it where you create the magic? Is that what you define as magic, or
Yeah,
am I getting, yeah?
for me, it's in that present space. It's really, and even when you come out of that present space, if you're just reminded of that space, you'll be, and that's why I love meditating so much, right? Because you're in that space. So many things come like download in that space. It's so amazing. Like when I journal right after and I'll read it a few months later, I'm like, where the hell did that come from? Right. But it's because you had no outside thoughts in the moment. And so you're able to really connect to your true self and get all these downloads that you can like bring into your current reality.
I'm thinking we should have this in our schools. Just journaling and, tuning in words and having a meditation and allow them. I don't know if you do that in the States, but we don't do it here in Norway. I have another story I want to share with you because you guys are in this field, so it's so exciting to share this with you. Um, I remember my girl starting in first grade, and she was about, I think they're 6 years old. She's now 15, so I have to think. Okay, so I remember she came home and she couldn't learn anything. She had trouble focusing and she was very sad. And I understood that. I read her energy and I said, okay, so there's stuff here that's not yours. I was thinking, I didn't tell her that, but I said, okay, so I'll have to figure this out. So I wrote an email to the teachers, explaining how she functions and how it is to be, we call it sensitivity. I don't know what you call it, you conscious children. So I wrote an email trying to explain how she experienced school. And I said I wanted to speak with them. And there was this specific teacher that she had problems with, that she didn't learn anything from. So I knew there was something going on with this teacher. And how do you address that? So I did have a meeting with them. I sat down and I said, well, there's something going on and I hope you would share it. And I could see that she was not feeling good. She couldn't focus and she was carrying this grief with her. And the only thing my daughter got out of that class when she was teaching was how sad she was and how hurt she was, and she would take over that energy and she wouldn't hear anything what the teacher said because she was so wrapped up in that grief. Having that conversation, was a gift given from our daughter to that teacher and to everyone, learning that we have such a huge responsibility when it comes to our own energy and what we bring into a situation. And by doing the work that you ladies do and that you help people or women do to stand in your own power, to be loving yourself as much as you love your babies, I think that's such an important part of coming there where we actually can be together. And this is an open, honest conversation to have and not something we should be ashamed of. Because I put myself out there. I did that because of my children. I wanted to be standing my power and show them that this is me and I don't care what everybody else says. I have to take care of me to take care of my children. So,
Exactly. And I think the world is shifting a little bit in that I think you are finding more women that are standing up for themselves in this way. But I also think part of this energy work is a shedding, right? Of all of the ways that the world told us to be, all of the energy that's not ours. Part of this work, and something I work with all of my clients on, is figuring out what's your energy and what's not, and releasing all that energy that's not yours. Because if you're open and empathic in any way, everything is an energy exchange. This podcast is an energy exchange. You may walk away from listening to this with some of my energy, with some of Tiffany's energy, with some of your energy, and you have to clear your energy every single day. Because if not, that's when the chakras get gunked up. That's when you cause disease within the body. And I think more and more we're healing our witch wounds and our mother wounds by standing in our power and showing other women that it's okay to be ourselves. Because truly, when we shine our light, it shows other women that it's okay to shine theirs, that it's okay to be vulnerable, that it's okay to be different and embrace that. And I think for a really long time, women were told to fit in this little box. And this is where you fit, and this is what you do, and nothing else. And it can be uncomfortable to be the way shower, to be the leader. But I think anyone listening to this podcast, you're here for a reason. You're listening for a reason. So whether or not you're fully out of the spiritual closet, fully out in your power, fully being 100% yourself, I hope you take this as an activation, as an invitation to just be 5% more, 50% more than you were the day before, because it's beautiful and it's so welcome and it's so needed right now on the planet.
Wow, I celebrate you both, ladies, because I love the message and the power you said in those words. Wow, that was beautiful. So, before we end this session today, I would love for to hear how can these women or men, doesn't matter, we're all parents, we're all here to do a job, um, clear the energy every day. So, before, being out in the world.
So for me, I do a daily morning ritual where I literally write out affirmations every morning in my journal. I usually start on Monday and I write them out. And if I need to add to those every morning, I do, but then I read them out loud. And for me, that's just out like empowering me and really stepping into each day, kind of like resetting. And when I don't do that, I have a very wrong of like a nasty day, right? Like and that's normal too, right? But for me, it's just the practice that I like. And then I also I go to breath work throughout the day and then I try to meditate at least once a day. But I think, having some type of ritual every morning that you can start with, whether it's taking a few breaths, whether it's connecting to your spiritual self by looking at the fact that you have a body, whatever that means for you. I think finding that practice that fits you. Is it going outside and walking in nature? Is it taking in, fresh air? Whatever it is, find that ritual that can kind of like set your day on the right path.
And I like ending my day with energy clearing. So before you go to sleep, this is the easiest thing that you can do that I really have found a difference in my energy the next day. Envision that you have a black hole at the bottom of your feet. And as if you're taking off your skin for the day, take it off, slide it down your body, and let it go into that hole. Give it back to the earth. She knows exactly what to do with it. And of course, when you feel like it, you should do more, specific energy clearing through the chakras. But that's a simple 5-second thing you can do before bed, just envisioning the energy leaving your body, going back to the earth. Or when you take a shower, if you take a shower in the morning or in the evenings, imagining that shower coming down on you is white, golden, divine light that is cleansing out all of your chakras. And all of the gunk and all of the stuff that isn't yours is going down the drain. You can also call on actually Archangel Gabriel. And he is the holder of the divine white light. And so you can ask him to share some of that divine white light with you to help cleanse your energy. And it's very visual because I'm a visual person in that way, but I find that there's already things that I'm doing throughout my day. So how can I incorporate ritual and energy work into them so that it's easy, right? You don't have to
Yes.
be meditating on a mountaintop for an hour every day. It can be something that's quick and easy, especially as moms. We don't have time for, that every single day, but you do have time to, well, hopefully take a bath and to really think about, releasing the energy.
I love that. And to me, I'd like to share one thing that I think is very easy. We have a dog, and every morning I've decided I'll do the morning walk because I like to be in nature. I like to be present. I like to to really breathe and to just reconnect with the earth and with myself and with my dog. And it's a really spiritual practice to me. I'm just walking, I'm being present, I'm breathing, and I'm so feeling that gratefulness of being alive on Mother Earth and being able to take everything in. So for me, that, is a must every morning. And that's how easy it can be.
I love that.
So thank you so much, ladies. I would love to speak with you more, but I guess I'll have to invite you back one day. So, is there any final words of inspiration for all our mamas out there that you'd like to share?
For me, I'm just sending each and every person that's listening to this love. know that you are supported by your spirit guides and even us. Like, I hope you're listening to this and you took a little nugget away, but I'm just sending everybody love today.
And for any mamas, soon to be mamas, almost mamas, not quite mamas, listening, know that whatever season of your life that you're in right now, it's just a season. And it won't always be like that. So if it's good, embrace it and enjoy it. If it's bad, know that it will get good again. But know that you can make it through whatever you're growing through right now, and that things will turn around again. And that you are so loved. We love you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Spirit Mamas, for this uplifting conversation. And thank you for the amazing work you do. I feel strongly about creating a loving and compassionate community to be able to lead from the heart and be true to our nature. My belief is that all our children deserve spiritually conscious mamas to be able to create sustainable growth. If you like my soulful and inspiring conversations with my guests, then I've got some exciting news for you. Now you can join me and my guests live on the Spiritual Quest live stream. Once a month, I go live with previous guests where they teach on their topic and answer your questions. All you have to do is sign up for the Spiritual Quest newsflash and you'll get notified when we go live. You'll find the link in the episode description. Sending you lots of love and light from me, your host, Vibeke Garnos, always guided by Spirit.